Mark Levin.
I don't know about you, but I am planning to scream and run.
He's back on the Mark Levin Radio Show.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I want to thank my wonderful substitute hosts who really are great hosts for filling in for me. As I indicated a couple of weeks ago, when family members need my attention, they get my attention. Family first. And so I needed to bolt out of here for a few days. Also, to my Jewish friends out there, hope you have an easy fast, as we say, Yom Kippur, the holiest of holy days for the Jewish faith, Day of Atonement. I think the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Democrats in the media have a lot to atone for, quite frankly. What you see here, ladies and gentlemen, is a battle between those who support the Constitution and those who don't. Those who support constitutionalism and those who support progressivism. You see the battle with the President of the United States and how they're trying to destroy him and his family. Because progressives are not compassionate. Progressives don't have big hearts. Look around the world. Progressives, democratic socialists, Marxists, Leninists, Maoists. They use people. In the name of people, they destroy people. In the name of the public, they destroy society. They are power hungry. They are control freaks. They are authoritarians. And you're seeing it all over TV and all over Congress. The Svengali in the shadows, who's pulling all the strings, is Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is the default lawyer for Dr. Ford. Chuck Schumer, no question, is working with the Democrat left-wing lawyers who just happen to represent Dr. Ford. He's pulling Dianne Feinstein's strings. Chuck Schumer has been doing this since the moment he stepped into the United States Senate. This isn't new for him. Chuck Schumer is a 1960s radical dressed up as a United States Senator. This is all he knows. He's never done anything in the private sector. Since the moment he graduated from law school, he was elected to the New York Assembly. Then one of the youngest members of the House of Representatives when that slot opened up. And then he ran for the U.S. Senate. He's been a member of the New York Assembly, the House of Representatives, and the U.S. Senate. That's it. Man has no real-world experience. All he knows is progressivism. He's an ideologue. That's all he knows. This is the man that filibustered dozens of George W. Bush's nominees to the circuit courts. Then he reverses course, works with Harry Reid to eliminate the filibuster. This is the man who backed Joe Biden's position that the last year in office, he said, no president should be able to nominate anybody to the Supreme Court of the United States. Biden got to the Senate floor, that's what he said. Then all of a sudden we have Merrick Garland, the last 9 months of Obama's administration, and they say, oh, the Republicans are holding him up. And the Republicans fold all the time. When the Republicans take on a nominee, which is very rare, they challenge them on their principles and their interpretation of the Constitution. That's not enough for the Democrats. They are abortion crazy. Abortion crazy. But other things crazy, too. But the Supreme Court, as I've told you over and over again, that's their Politburo. Now, why is it their Politburo? Because that's, in the end, where all the action is. That's where they control the social agenda, because the Supreme Court under the left has nationalized our culture. They've nationalized the social issues, the religious issues. And they've nationalized more and more our economy, our economic issues, and now even our national security and immigration issues. And they know that whether they win elections or lose elections, they must control the Supreme Court. So they demanded that Merrick Garland a moderate liberal, but a liberal nonetheless, and an activist on the D.C. Circuit Court should replace the great constitutionalist Antonin Scalia. They insist on blocking Brett Kavanaugh, who I've had some questions about, quite frankly. Not that he's a radical kook, but they insist on blocking him because they want to take over the Senate. That's why. We all know what's going on. It's all Schumer all the time, in the shadows. That's exactly what's going on. Woodrow Wilson explained it. He was abundantly clear, as I pointed out in Ameritopia. The federal courts, he basically argued, are not bound by the Constitution. He wrote, the weightiest import of the matter is seen only when it is remembered that the courts are the instruments of the nation's growth, and that the way in which they serve that use will have much to do with the integrity of every national process. If they determine what powers are to be exercised under the Constitution, they by the same token determine also the adequacy of the Constitution in respect to the needs and interests of the nation. Our conscience in matters of law and our opportunity in matters of politics are in their hands. In other words, they control all. And they don't have to abide by the Constitution. That if they had interpreted the Constitution in its strict letter, as some proposed, and not in its spirit, and he used to talk about a living and breathing Constitution, it comes from Wilson, like the character of a business corporation, and not like the character of a living government, the vehicle of a nation's life, it would have proved a straitjacket, a means not of liberty and development, but a mere restriction and embarrassment. And he goes on. One of the intellectual so-called greats of the progressive movement over 100 years ago. They tell you what they believe. They tell you who they are. They're fully prepared to destroy Kavanaugh by hook or crook. They are fully prepared to destroy Trump by hook or crook. These are mere mortals who are in the way of the great grand design of the progressive. They can't explain the design with any facts or any substance. But it's a great grand design. It's paradise. We cannot allow a constitutionalist or a would-be constitutionalist to actually get on the court and apply the Constitution. We cannot allow a president of the United States and Trump to keep nominating people like this. We've got to get rid of them. Smear them. Attack them. Destroy them. It doesn't matter. I see the big picture. I know exactly what's going on. Dr. Ford's not a victim. She's a perpetrator. I said she's a perpetrator. You don't wait now to reveal this. You don't hire left-wing Democrat activist lawyers to represent you. You don't make demands of the committee now that you want an FBI investigation. You know, Kavanaugh's name was added to the 21, part of the 25 list that Trump has had for more than a year. Nothing. Nothing. We are being manipulated, America. We are being manipulated by Chuck Schumer. We're being manipulated by the Democrat Party and the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And we are being manipulated by Dr. Ford and her lawyers. This isn't about women's rights. This is about justice. You can't accuse another individual 36 years later of a crime, a state crime, of physical sexual assault. 36 years later, you don't know exactly when it occurred. You don't know exactly why it occurred. You don't know exactly where it occurred. First, it's 2 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys. You don't know who the witnesses are. You don't know how you got home. You don't know whose party it was. You don't know what house it was at. Hell, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about women. It's not about sex. This is about justice. Read your Constitution. Read the Bill of Rights. There's a reason why we have a whole due process section there. You have due process whether it's criminal cases or civil cases. They have to be tested in a court. You make an allegation, then you have to lay it out in a brief. And the person has a right to defend themselves. You're a witness. you're cross-examined. Before that, you're deposed. There's all kinds of data collection, interrogatories, and depositions and so forth. Has to be heard, in most cases, by a jury or at least an impartial judge. Then you have a right to appeal. What the hell is this? A man is literally accused of a crime, and he has no ability whatsoever to defend himself. Where the hell is the ACLU and so forth? Now, I know this isn't a court of law. It's worse. These senators have no self-respect, and they have no regard for the institution in which they were elected. They just as soon burn down the place. Just as soon burn down the place. All started 30 years ago. 31 years ago. With Ted Kennedy. A sleazeball. A man who left a woman to die. A man who was sexually harassing women every damn day of his life. And he wasn't the only one. Buddies with Chuck Schumer. Buddies with Joe Biden. Buddies with Dick Durbin. Buddies with all of them. All of them. Chappaquiddick. Is there another senator on the face of the earth that could have survived Chappaquiddick? And not just him. Let's lay it bare. His brother John. His brother Robert. His father Joe was hitting on his own son's girlfriends. And by the way, still more with the Kennedys. Ask Andrew Cuomo. And ask others. The Democrats don't stand for women's rights. They're not feminists. They don't speak for women. They're leftists. They use women the way they use minorities. And the way they use everything else. Power, baby. Control. Authority. That's what it's all about. I'll be right back. Now, what do we know about Dr. Ford? We don't know a damn thing about Dr. Ford. We know everything there is to know about Brett Kavanaugh. He's had 6 FBI background checks. How many background checks has Dr. Ford had? The Democrats want an FBI investigation. They want an FBI investigation. Well, why didn't they want one 6 weeks ago when they got the letter? Why now? We have to put up with this and act like we're stupid? Let me tell the left a little secret. Every man on the face of the earth was born of a woman. We know women, too. We have mothers and wives and girlfriends and daughters and sisters and granddaughters. You don't have a monopoly on women. You have a monopoly on left-wing women. You didn't come to the defense of Juanita Broderick. You hated Juanita Broderick. You mocked her. You didn't come to the defense of Paula Jones. You mocked her. You didn't come to the defense of Kathleen Willey. You mocked her. But here we have a professor, and she's to be believed. Why? Why? There was a month worth of discussion on who the president was going to nominate. Kavanaugh's name was out there leading up to his nomination. Why didn't she come forth? She was repressing. She was suppressing. But all of a sudden, her memory clicks in. Or does it? She can't name a single corroborative witness. Not one. She can't name a time, a place, nothing. What do you think a jury would do with this? What do you think a judge would do with this? Well, we need an FBI investigation. I have an idea. Press ahead, Republicans, but in the meantime, just for her integrity, maybe the FBI should do a vetting process of Dr. Ford. I mean, after all, Kavanaugh's had 6. Dr. Ford said she wants an FBI investigation. You want an FBI investigation? I'll give you an investigation. We don't know who the hell you are. Now that you're on the public stage, and you can thank Schumer and the other rat finks operating in the shadows, you can thank them now for your name being public, as well as yourself. Well, now we, the American people, we own the Supreme Court. We own the nomination process. We own the Senate. We own this country. I want to know who she is. I don't know a damn thing about her. But the kids at the Holton School, they signed a petition in support of her. Who gives a damn? They don't know anything either. Oh, she has friends writing letters. Really? Well, that's persuasive. That's very persuasive. Left-wing Democrat lawyers represent her. Why is that? I want to know the association and relationship between the Senate Judiciary Committee Democrats and staff, and Schumer in particular, and his staff in particular, and their surrogates and go-between, and Dr. Ford and Dr. Ford's lawyers. That's what I want to know. You know how I know about you, Schumer? You ratfink? I know about you, because your name's all over those damn memos from 2001, 2002, 2003, when you were scheming to destroy every Bush Circuit Court nominee. Your DNA's all over this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this has nothing to do with women. Nothing. This is a sleazy, shameful, deceitful attack. The victim is Brett Kavanaugh. This has nothing to do with genitalia. Nothing whatsoever. It's an attack. And not just an attack on Kavanaugh. It's an attack on the Supreme Court. It's an attack on the Senate. It's an attack on the Constitution. This is who they are. This is what they do. Just as we've had to sit here for damn near 2 years and watch them try to destroy our president. With a full special counsel running around looking for crimes against the president when there aren't any. And then to have the Democrats undermining every serious investigation into the Russians. They love the Russians. They always love the Russians. But look at their heroes. The Kennedys. And Clinton. And Charlie Rose. And Matt Lauer. And on and on and on. All sleazeballs when it came to women. That's right, I said it. Because it's true. I'll be right back. We don't have to put up with this orchestrated drama, America. At stake is your country, not Dr. Ford. I think Brett Kavanaugh's the victim. The Democrats are the perpetrators. We've seen this before. We've seen this before. Tell me. You're a juror. You're sitting in a jury. And the accuser's a witness. And she testifies that she can't remember where this took place. She can't remember when it took place exactly. We've been told there's 2 people, then 4 people, then 5 people. She can't remember how she got home. She can't remember whose party it was. She didn't tell a soul, not a friend, not a relative, not the police, nobody. In 2012, when she's a full-blown adult and a professor, she gets therapy. She still doesn't mention Kavanaugh's name. You're a jury. How credible is the witness? How credible is that plaintiff? How credible? And tell me, all these arguments about women's rights, you got to believe the women, have no standing in the court of law. None whatsoever. You're an individual human being when you're in that court. You're an individual human being. You have a right to an objective jury. You have a right to an objective judge, because their goal is to do justice, to find the truth. You're not going to find the truth in a star chamber when the Democrats are running the show. They're like the old Soviets. Any tool in the toolbox. Pull the teeth, pull the toenails, do whatever you have to do. Do whatever you have to do for victory. To put down any disagreements, to put down anyone who might not conform to your ideology. Whatever you have to do. Just do it. And here's a little secret. Men have rights too. Boys have rights too. Whether they go to college, whether they drive a truck. Males have rights too. And no, I am not going to accept, embrace in any way the left's demand that the accuser is to be believed. You and I, we have our own brains, our own eyes, our own ears. We have our own experiences. We'll decide if we believe somebody or not. We'll decide. And the way this chicken crap hearing has been handled, this isn't even an 11th hour setup. This was set up for months. This was a setup for months. It's got Schumer's fingerprints all over it. The entire goal was to run out the clock. That's the entire goal. I want you women out there to know they don't give a damn about women. They don't care about women. Did Ted Kennedy care about women? When Juanita Broderick came forward with a very credible allegation of rape, where was Gillibrand? Where was Schumer? Where was Dick Durbin? Or they ignored her. And she didn't wait 36 years. She told people. She couldn't get their attention. Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. The sexual perpetrator's wife. Protected him. Oh, she protected him. They wanted power. She wanted to go all the way to the presidency. First lady wasn't enough. No, the presidency. She couldn't afford these non-professor women to get in the way, you know. That wasn't going to be tolerated. No. And Monica Lewinsky, poor Monica Lewinsky, an intern, 20 years old. 20 years old. Mocked by the left. Attacked by the left. They had to protect their Bill Clinton. Where was Gillibrand? Mark, it was many years ago. She was an adult. Where was she? She campaigned with Bill Clinton. Now we're told we're not even allowed to question Dr. Ford. You see, this is the way it works. You can't question Dr. Ford. Well, we could in a court of law. No, you can't question. Well, if she'd gone to the cops, they'd question. No. This is different, you see. Why? Well, because they say so. Damn it! Stop playing by their rules. They don't get to set the rules. They don't get to set the rules. Again, once again, this is about our Supreme Court and our United States Senate. It doesn't belong to them. Now, let's look at another issue. Feinstein. This is a desperate incumbent senator who's running against another Democrat, a left-wing radical nut, and they have been complaining. They've been complaining, the Democrat base in California, that she hasn't done enough to stop Kavanaugh. She hasn't done enough. Her opponent in that weird primary system they have, so they have two Democrats running against each other. Her opponent, De Leon, or whatever the hell his name is, said she didn't do enough. Now, see, she celebrated. Oh, there's fun. Look what she did. Look what she did. She's one of the sleaziest senators of them all, with her husband working deals with the Chinese government. One of the sleaziest of them all. Kavanaugh cannot get a serious hearing after the hearing, so there shouldn't be one. Why do we have to put up with this sham? Why do we have to accept the terms of the Democrats who are conniving, who are conspiring, who are colluding? And why do we have to put up with their mob, an army of ignoramuses? That's right. Did he say that? I certainly did. A mob of ignoramuses. But they're not the only ignoramuses. Here's a Washington Post reporter. Here's what Amber Phillips tweeted. I get Republicans are frustrated. This is coming up now. But it also feels like in focusing on the timing, they're overlooking the fact their Supreme Court nominee is credibly accused of attempted rape. This is a so-called reporter, Amber Phillips, with the Washington Compost. Credibly accused? How so? If somebody came forward and made the accusation against Amber Phillips decades later, credibly accused, on what basis is he credibly accused? He's not credibly accused at all. Amber. CNN. National Security and Legal Analyst Susan Hennessy. It's worth pondering that if this doesn't make a difference, a good many says it won't, 2 of the 9 justices of the U.S. Supreme Court will have been credibly accused of serious sexual misconduct and confirmed anyway. That's quite a statement to the women of this country. First of all, Susan, you don't speak for the women of this country. Secondly, you're a liar. Clarence Thomas was not credibly accused either. They desperately are rewriting history. She had an op-ed in the Washington Post with the snap of her fingers. Clarence Thomas, again, was the victim. The victim. With an issue that was raised after the hearings, after it was clear he was going to be confirmed. But that's Susan Hennessy, CNN National Security and Legal Analyst. Then we have Matthew Dowd, this fool. Do you know he is the chief political analyst at ABC News? Don't they all sound alike? Because they're all leftists. Enough with the he said, she said storyline, he tweets. If this is he said, she said, then let's believe the she in these scenarios. She has nothing to gain and everything to lose. For 250 years, we have believed that he in these scenarios, enough is enough. Now, have you ever heard anything dumber in your life? And this guy is the chief political analyst in ABC News. So he has decided that if a female accuses a male, the female is to be believed because 250 years we believe the male. I have no idea what this guy's talking about, but does that sound like justice to you? Does that sound even rational to you, or does he just sound like another hack playing to the mob? She has nothing to gain. I heard Anita Hill had nothing to gain. Now she's celebrated. Of course she has something to gain. Nobody ever heard of her before. Matthew Dowd knows nothing of Dr. Ford. Not a damn thing. But it doesn't matter. Because he's part of the progressive media. That's all that matters. So you've heard now from ABC, you've heard now from CNN, and you've heard now from the Washington Post. And we're supposed to believe, you see, what they're reporting. And of course, Dr. Ford went first to the Washington Post. Does that sound like somebody who wants privacy? Or somebody who's objective? You know, we get to analyze these things too, even though they try to beat us over the head. We must not accept their reality, which is an unreality. If Dr. Ford has actual evidence of any kind, in any way, including corroboration, then let's see it. Then let's see it. That's what the FBI would want to know. Dr. Ford, do you have any information other than what you're accusing Mr. Kavanaugh of? Apparently not. Can you tell us where this took place? No, not really. Can you tell us exactly when it took place? No, not really. It was 36 years ago. Well, that's exactly the point. How did you get home? I don't know. You don't know? No, I don't know. Did you tell anybody? Your mother? Your father? A sibling? A friend? No. Okay. Well, what is it the FBI is supposed to investigate, ladies and gentlemen? What exactly is the FBI supposed to investigate? Pretend you're an FBI investigator. What is it that what's the agent supposed to say? You don't know when. You don't know where. You don't know how many boys. You don't know how you got home. You don't know anything. What is it that the FBI is supposed to figure out? And of course, as you all know, FBI has nothing to do with this. This isn't a federal matter. They're vetting somebody's background, they're not proving somebody innocent or guilty of anything. They're investigators, and they provide the information to the President of the United States to make a decision on a nomination. That's all. I'll be right back. Kirsten Gillibrand says Republicans are bullying Kavanaugh's accuser into testifying on money. Who gives a damn what she says? Who cares? The self-appointed head of women in the Senate or whatever the hell she's done? Just another hack left-wing political nobody. Seriously, who gives a damn? Kirsten Gillibrand, wow. So special. What makes her special? She's another hack who campaigned with Clinton for years and years, and then she decided it was politically expedient to throw him off the roof, and now all of a sudden, no. He should have resigned. Well, you're a little late there, genius. This isn't about women's rights. This isn't about women at all. Dr. Ford doesn't represent anybody. She doesn't represent my wife, or my mother, or my mother-in-law, or my daughter, or my granddaughter. Who the hell is Dr. Ford? Now she's a cause celeb? Celeb? No, she's not. Not a cause celeb at all. She's somebody who came forward who's not credible in the least, can't remember a single thing. Nothing. Hires left-wing hack lawyers who are no doubt working behind the scenes with Schumer and the boys to do another hit job. The victim here is Brett Kavanaugh. He's the victim. He's the victim. He, his wife, his daughters, his mother, his father, they're the one living through hell right now. Not Dr. Ford. Not in the least. We have an entire justice system set up to prevent this. The only place it doesn't occur is in the United States Judiciary Committee in the Senate. That's where they use the old Soviet tactics on the Democrat side, and they're damn good at it. But you and I don't have to accept this crap, and I'm not. All right. Let's do this. Let's go to cut one. MSNBC, CNN. They not only turn this into a women's issue, they turn it into a race issue. Cut one, go.
Once again, it will be all white men on the Republican side of the Judiciary Committee questioning both Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford.
The Republicans that are on the Judiciary Committee, it is a lineup of white guys over the age of 50.
All the white men on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
You've got all white men on the Republican side here.
On the Republican side, all 11 are white men. The Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee, it's 11 white men. And the Republicans, it is 11 white men. The Republicans, it happens to be 11 white men.
Are these white Republican men essentially going to ask her if she's telling the truth?
Yes, it is. It's white men who are going to ask her if she's telling the truth. Oh, yes. White men who are going to ask her if she's telling the truth. White men, you know, white men. They're going to ask her if she's telling the truth. So now, you see, ladies and gentlemen, the entire Senate Judiciary Committee majority is disqualified, according to MSNBC and CNN, and all those white voices you heard from white women and white men. They're all disqualified because they're white men. Is it get any sicker than this? It does. And I'll explain. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Oh, the Republicans are rushing. What's the rush? Well, I'll tell you what the rush is. We want to get a justice on the Supreme Court before the election. That's why. And you guys want to slow it down. It's that simple. But it's not even a rush, ladies and gentlemen. The Democrats over the last 3 decades have created this environment on the Senate Judiciary Committee when you have judicial nominees, particularly nominees to the Supreme Court of the United States. They've set the rules. These long, drawn-out hearings, massive amount of documents have to be coughed up. And at every step of the way, they complain. Well, we didn't get enough documents. Well, we had more questions. Well, you're in a rush. Well, we've got to, that sort of thing. Historically, before the Democrats hijacked the Senate Judiciary Committee confirmation process as relates to Supreme Court justices, they were relatively short hearings. And actually, prior to William O. Douglas, I'm doing this by recollection, many of them didn't have hearings. They submitted their resumes, they submitted their professional qualifications, and you would have a voice vote. About half the justices in this country, give or take, over the history of the Supreme Court, were confirmed by voice vote. Not even a roll call vote. No, I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying this argument, hey, let's not rush to judgment. What else is there to know about this guy Kavanaugh? There's nothing else to know. What else is there to know? It's like the cleanest resume you can have, the cleanest background you can have. He was a judge for 12 or 13 years. You have all his opinions. You know how he thinks, how he approaches things. So now we're caught in the Democrat progressive muck. White old men. Why are white men making this decision? I don't know. The same reason white men attack Clarence Thomas, you might say. But now white men are disqualified. I'm sick and tired of that, too. Men are disqualified. White men are disqualified. Screw all that. But a white professor woman, whatever she says, goes. She sounds very convincing to me, says Gillibrand. Gives a crap what Gillibrand has to say. Who the hell is she? Another left-wing Democrat hack playing to the base of the base because she wants her nomination? She's not going anywhere. So this is really a playover of the politics of the left because they politicize this process, they politicize the Supreme Court, and they're more than happy to burn everything down in order to rebuild it in their image. And that's what they do, and that's what they're doing. I want you to hear from somebody who is a senator, but who is a blithering buffoon. Her name is Mazie Hirono. She's a senator from Hawaii, essentially a one-party state. And here's what this idiot had to say. Cut 5, go.
Of course it helps that there are women on that committee, but you know what? I expect the men in this country and the men in this committee, and many of them, believe me, because we all signed on to this letter to demand an FBI investigation, but really, guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country, and I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing.
You know what? You can go to hell. Tell me and everybody to shut up. Who the hell do you think you are? You get elected to the Senate? And you can talk to tens of millions of men this way? You don't even know us. Who do you think you are? And she's not done. This low IQ, left-wing kook Democrat. That's right, I said it. Cut 6, go.
The callousness with which she was treated, for any of us who have dealt at all with the experience of sexual trauma knows that this is a very particularly damaging kind of experience. And you do not...
I have no idea what she's experienced. None of us do. We're playing peekaboo here. Somebody drops a letter. Somebody talks in the Washington Post to somebody, being Dr. Ford. She will appear before the committee, the lawyers demand. Then she won't appear before the committee. Nobody knows who she is. We're not debating sexual assault or harassment. We have no idea that this took place. But look where we are. Look how they do this. We don't know anything about her. No idea if she's credible or not. Go ahead.
Who has gone through this, oh, well, hey, how about this? I think it's appalling. And I'm totally disappointed.
Let me tell you something, Senator. I happen to know a woman who did go through this. And you don't speak for her. You don't speak for her. As a matter of fact, I'm sure she despises you. The politicization of this. There are perpetrators out there, sexual perpetrators. Of all kinds. who destroy many, many lives. And then there are people who are accused of it, who haven't done a damn thing, and their lives are destroyed. That's why there's a process in place. The FBI cannot resolve it, nor can the Senate Judiciary Committee. You're all about politics. I want the women of this country to understand that Mazie Hirono doesn't represent you. She doesn't give a damn about you. She's politicizing you. She's politicizing you. She's wrapping herself in real victims of sexual crimes in order to advance an ideological agenda. And that's what they do. Go ahead.
Who have come forward to say, oh, we should hear from her. And now that she's expecting a modicum of fairness, so she's not re-victimized.
So she's already a victim. The Democrat jury has ruled. Now she'll be re-victimized because she won't come before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Monday. That first they need an FBI investigation. That's Schumer, folks. That's Schumer. So let me ask you something. Schumer, the other Democrats, this fool, do they really sound like they care about women and victimized women? No, they don't. They don't sound like it at all. They're political hacks. Political hacks. Then there's Dianne Feinstein. Cut 4. Go.
No one called her or called her lawyer. My understanding is she got emails. I have no say.
Are there any reporters left who can ask about any communications that have now taken place between any of the Democrat senators, any of their staffs, any surrogates, and Dr. Ford and her lawyers? Are there any reporters left who are serious? Not this clown with the Washington Post, not this clown with CNN. Not this clown with ABC. They've already decided, these reporters, journalists, the golden age of journalism. Oh, the free press, they're just so swell. They're not going to ask. Go ahead.
I'm the lead Democrat, so this is all up to the Republican side. I can't say everything's truthful. I don't know.
There you go. And her staff had to bring her back in the office and say, Diane, what? What? Diane, you're in the Senate. Oh, what is it? We need to put out a statement, what we call clarification. You see, you undermined our cause. Oh, okay. Please do. How about old white women? Can they ask questions? You know, old white women, can they ask questions? I see a lot of old white women on this committee, including the ranking minority person there, Feinstein. Is that okay? I mean, if we can throw these terms around and be so nasty, I don't think we're just required to take arrows, are we? Can we shoot some back? It seems to me if old white men are disqualified, then old white women should be disqualified. No? Well, there's plenty of them around. I mean, just look at the Senate. All kinds of old people in the Senate. See how sick this is? You see how absolutely stupid, I mean idiotic, buffoonish our media hosts are? You got these clowns who are white for the most part. Well, should white men? You got a white guy as a host asking if white men should be involved. Should white men ask questions? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't see you moving aside for a minority. Hey, well, you know, that's different. I'm a free press. Hey. The issue isn't whether you're white or black or what kind of genitalia you have. The issue is if you're a blithering idiot leftist who are trying to use women to advance your idiotic ideology. Or, conversely, if you believe in the Constitution. That's it. That's the choice. All right. Take a few calls here. I think I will do just that. Hopefully they won't bring us two down. Let us go to Mike in Monmouth, New Jersey, the great WABC. Go.
Hey, Mark, it's a pleasure to speak with you. And I tell you, you being away for a few days, going through a little withdrawals, but it's nice to have the great one back.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I was wanted to comment about the good doctor cannot remember any particular details of the incident, the alleged incident, but yet she's able to remember to go on her Facebook and clean up some social media pictures. And I don't know whether she's ashamed of if I helped a
Wait a minute. So she cleaned up her social media, you're telling me?
Yeah, cleaned up some pictures, erased some pictures, some state representatives, and if I had the ability to help somebody get elected, I'd be proud of that. I'd have that on my Facebook, and I wouldn't want to erase anything from social media. Why? Why would she want to erase these things from social media?
I'm guessing somebody told her to. See, right now, in many ways, she's a pawn of the Schumer mob. The Schumer mob family. That includes many of the people in the media as he hangs back and then he goes to the Senate floor and in righteous outrage, and he goes back and conspires with left-wing groups and media types and feeds them information. This guy's done this against one nominee after another after another. He is a disgrace.
Is when I hear the little girls on the basketball team calling him Coach K, and they have to hear this, and no shame in this Democrat.
You're right. Why don't we think about Mr. Kavanaugh and his beautiful family and his little girls and his lovely wife and mother and father? Why don't we think about what's being done to his family? As I said before, I laid it out. If Ford had brought this case in front of a court, she would have been blown out of court. There's no jury, no judge. Nobody would have believed a damn thing she said because she doesn't know anything. She's coming forward, reluctantly, we're told, after going to the Washington Post, after hiring left-wing lawyers. I don't even know who's paying for those lawyers. She's coming forward, and with what? What is she coming forward with? All right, Mike, thank you for your call. Lori in Darby, Montana, the great KGVO. Go right ahead, please.
Hey, Mark, I just want to say a couple of things really quick, and then I want to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I served 4 years in the United States Air Force. My husband served 9.
Thank you both.
During my service, I was sexually assaulted. I was raped.
Oh,
now, I don't let that define me. I have 2 bachelor's degrees. I would want to be known for my successful 30-year marriage and my 2 great kids. But here's what I remember. I can play that assault like a video in my mind right now. I remember who was in the room. I remember the color of the carpet. I remember the time of day. I remember where the furniture was. I remember every single detail. And this is the same with all other victims of assault. You remember that incident. It is imprinted in your brain. You don't forget part of it. You don't not remember part of it.
What do you say? First of all, I'm sorry that you had to suffer through that, and still do, no doubt. Well, what do you say to people, and I'm hearing them say this, that, well, you suppress or you repress your memory. Can you do that for 36 years?
No, you don't. You remember this. You remember it every day, every night, every minute of your life. You cannot forget it, which blows my mind that she is coming forward now and she can remember, she can't. I'll tell you one thing. People better start checking their damn bank accounts because there's a payoff here that's going on. My question to you is...
Well, we don't know that, but go right ahead.
Why are the Republicans pausing? Why don't we go ahead and confirm this guy? Why don't we push this through?
I'll tell you why. Because you've got about a dozen of them who are absolute lame brains. You got Flake, who couldn't be named better. You got Corker. You got Susan Collins. You got Lisa Murkowski. There's just a group of them who view themselves as independent operators, not for some great principle or great cause, but because they're liberal. And they pretend to be something else. And so Flake immediately came out and said, look, if we don't get to the bottom of this, I can't vote for Kavanaugh. And some of us see this as exactly for what it is. So,
well,
anyway.
My call, sir. It's an honor.
Thank you for bravely calling the program. I appreciate that, Lori. Amy, Colorado Springs, Colorado, XM Satellite. Go right ahead, please.
Hi,
Hi, Mark. My best to you and your family.
Thank you.
My comment was you just have to look at the women that each side holds up. I mean, you look at Stormy Daniels, Omarosa, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. Then you look at our side of strong women that President Trump has put in his administration who get trashed every day. Kellyanne Conway, Nikki Haley, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
The one at DHS whose name escapes me. Secretary there.
And I think it's Kirsten Nielsen.
That's
that
it.
Right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you look at those women, I would rather have my daughter be like any of those women.
Well, and they even trashed the First Lady and Ivanka.
Yes, and those are both strong, smart women. And I thought the Democrats were supposed to be for them, but apparently not. And
if the FBI does an investigation, the FBI, which it should not, because the Democrats now want to politicize the FBI further, not that they haven't done enough damage to it, of course. But if they do an investigation, they need to question under oath the Democrats, like Schumer and the others, for their role in this. If that's what they want to do, is get to the bottom of whatever it is they want to get to the bottom of, then that, in part, is a role they should play. And I just want to remind, thank you for your calling me, the American people. The FBI has absolutely no role in this, but even if it did, it doesn't have a final say in anything. It's an investigative arm that makes recommendations. I mean, this whole thing is a sham from beginning to end. From beginning to end. It is a complete, unmitigated sham. The victim here is Kavanaugh. Even more so, the victim here, the American people. We deserve better. We deserve better. I'll be right back. See, liberals can question anybody. White liberals, male liberals, women liberals, white male liberals, white female liberals, liberals who are minorities and male and female, whatever. Because that's just the way it is. Nobody said no minorities should question Dr. Ford one way or the other because they're not white. But liberals are never asked about that because liberals can ask anybody anything they want. Even old white male liberals can attack old white males. It's insane. They can all go to hell, as far as I'm concerned, on the left. But here you go. From the great reporter Paul Bedard at the Washington Examiner. Media, ABC, PBS, use Facebook to beg other Kavanaugh accusers to talk. Truth will emerge, quote unquote. Liberal media outlets are using Facebook and other social outlets as a dragnet for other women who might want to accuse embattled Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, proclaiming the truth will emerge. Journalists and sources for ABC, The Washington Post, PBS, and others are targeting sites like Facebook's members-only Holton Arms alumni for women who might have met Kavanaugh while in high school, suggesting strongly and without evidence that many others were abused. Hi, ladies. I'm Holton, class of 1991, and I'm an investigative producer reporter for, this is a quote, ABC National News. I would really appreciate any leads on Kavanaugh, posted Lauren Pearl. I think she's an old white woman, but I'm not sure. She added, hopefully the truth will emerge. Kavanaugh's accuser, Professor Christine Blasey Ford, went to Holton Arms when she claims a drunken Kavanaugh molested her at a private party when he was a student in the early 80s at Georgetown Prep, less than 10 miles away from Holton Arms. Kavanaugh has forcefully denied the charges, and his friends at the party have also said they didn't see him do anything wrong. In another Facebook post, Holton Arms alum Maggie Quirgora, whatever, she wrote, if you have any connections from back in 1978 to 82, please contact ASAP. I'm in touch with Washington Post and other papers who want to support Dr. Ford. So the media want to support Dr. Ford. A third Holton Arms alum, Saba Fatima, wrote on Facebook, hi, I'm looking for Christina King Miranda, my very dear friend from childhood. Amna Nawaz is at PBS NewsHour and would love to talk to her. She added, as the mob closes around Dr. Ford, as she goes into hiding, as her life changes forever, please do everything you can to ensure justice is done. On her Facebook page, Nawaz posted an unsigned note from a former pal of Ford who said the alleged incident was spoken about for days afterwards in school. The Senate Judiciary Committee is hoping to get Kavanaugh and Ford at a Monday hearing and so forth. That has since been withdrawn, is my understanding. Cleaned from Twitter. Social media dragnet comes just days after a woman helping Ford's lawyer emailed Kavanaugh's classmates also seeking dirt. The memo on behalf of lawyer Deborah Katz said, probably more so than Ms. Blasey Ford, many of us knew and hung out with Brett, Mark Judge, and their friends. We went to the same parties, to Beach Week, etc. It sounds like we likely had many more interactions with him than Ms. Blasey Ford. I've never met her, but the story that she is telling sounds plausible to me, and I believe her. Assuming that she's telling the truth, the odds are good that there may be other women who had a similar experience, and I'm reaching out to you to help find out if this is the case. So Paul Bedard says, there they are, begging other accused. Well, I have an idea. If anybody out there knows of any Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee who has acted in ways that are improper to women or men, I think you should go on Facebook and say, not lies, I'm quite serious. Or for that matter, any of these reporters, because we know of all the sexual perverts in the media now. At the New York Times, at CNN, at MSNBC, at the Washington Compost, on the Morning Schmo Show, on the morning shows. Whatever happened? Remember that show, Where's Matt Lauer, as he's traveling the globe? Now people really ask now, where the hell's Matt Lauer? Is he still around? And Charlie Rose. And then you got Moonves and Moonbeam and all the rest of the mooners out there. You got all kinds of stuff going on with the media. Anybody has any information on any of these reporters who are out there, as long as it's truthful and verifiable. See, they don't even say that. I say that. Truthful and verifiable. Go ahead and post it. Anybody has any information on any Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, let us know. Go to Facebook. Go on the social sites. No lies. No jokes. I'm serious. Yes, indeed. And if anybody has any truthful information, I guess, on Dr. Ford, the media have no interest in it. Because in none of these posts do they ask for that information. It's kind of like Mueller and only investigating Trump and not Hillary. The media have asked nothing about Dr. Ford. What have I said about the Mueller investigation and all that took place? The media would never, ever report on the effort by the Obama administration at the FBI and our intelligence agencies and the rest to interfere in our election because the media participated in it. Somebody told me today that somebody wrote that same thing on the American greatness thing and it's been repeated. Fine. I don't mind being plagiarized. It happens all the time. My point is the media need the leakers from the FBI, from the Justice Department, from the CIA, from all of them. And they've used them. That's why they don't cover them. That's why they don't expose them. That's why they will never get into the stuff that took place with Hillary, the DNC, Fusion GPS, Steele, and all the rest. They're their sources. It's the same here. The reason these so-called journalists in the golden age of journalism are not going to ask anybody to post anything about Dr. Ford is because Dr. Ford's surrogates, Schumer, the Democrats, and so forth, they're all working together. That's exactly what's taking place. They're all working together. They've done it before. See, experience does count for something. I was around during the Bork hearings. I was around during the Clarence Thomas hearing. I was around during the Miguel Estrada hearings. Who's that, Mark? Google it. I know what they do. And they're doing it right now. You know, I was greatly disappointed to miss the great KRLA event this weekend out in Glendale, in the Los Angeles area. And I want to send my deepest apologies to all the folks who attended, but I understand it was a wonderful, wonderful event. I will try and make it up down the road. I don't know when. But as I expressed at the top of the show, and I'm not going to get into particulars, if I have one or more family members who are ill and I'm needed, then I just drop everything and I go. That's the way it is. When you're in public life, everybody knows it and everybody kind of hears about it or they speculate. That's the way it is. I can't do anything about it. But priorities, priorities, priorities. You're my family. Don't get me wrong. But you're not in extremis, I don't think. I don't think so. All right, let's take a call here. Let us go to, let me see here. Bob, Avon, Ohio, Sirius Satellite. How are you, Bob?
I'm all right, Mark. How are you tonight?
Okay, thank you.
I've been sitting there thinking about if she doesn't have days, dates, times, locations, or anything else, how is he supposed to be able to set up an alibi to prove that what she's saying is a total farce and a lie? It's nothing more than character assassination in what she's doing. So why can't the committee subpoena her, have her appear in front of them, catch her in her lie, put it to the Justice Department, get a... All
right. Slow down. Put what to the Justice Department?
Charge of perjury for lying to Congress.
She's not going to come before Congress, and if they subpoena her, then you play right into the Democrats' hands. They said to her, you come voluntarily, and we'll hear from you. And my view is, then I wouldn't waste my time. I'd go ahead, plow through, and get Kavanaugh on the bench. Get it over with.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess because the only thing that he can't do is defend himself because he can't establish an alibi. Because
he cannot defend himself. There's no process for him to defend himself. The Democrats have made it that the allegation is conclusive. And I just hope people who have any dirt on any of these senators make their allegation, and I will conclude that it's conclusive, particularly if they're females.
That was my other thought, was play their game back at them. Start accusing them of things that they can't prove didn't happen.
And this has nothing to do with women. Nothing whatsoever to do with women. Even though they make this claim, this has to do with the facts. This has to do with a setup. This has to do with a gotcha. This has to do with the radical progressives who are burning down the civil society in order to rebuild their own blueprint. All right, my friend, I appreciate your call. We'll be right back. All right, let's continue. Who do we have here? We have John, Livermore, California, the great KSFO. Go.
Hey, Mr. Levin, I was calling about, there's so many people in the country that have different trades that require certifications and licenses, such as yourself. If you commit ethics violations, you would lose your ability to be an attorney. Doctors do the same, with their medical practices. And I fully believe that anybody that swears to uphold the Constitution should first be required to obtain a certification, like a certified constitutionalist, if you will, by some kind of course that would show that we would know that they've read, they comprehend it, they can apply it, and with that certification, if they run for, then they can run for office.
Well, hold on now. They take an oath promising to uphold it. How much more can you do?
But we don't know that they understand it.
But maybe they don't care to. They can read it and say, That's fine, I read it. Now what?
Through some type of a certification course.
Well, you'd have to amend the Constitution to do any of that anyway.
I'm sorry, what's that?
You would have to amend the Constitution. You can't create new conditions for somebody to run and serve that aren't set forth in the Constitution. If you're saying, for instance, like Ben Sass fashions himself a constitutionalist, and he's apparently proposed a bill that includes, among other things, a requirement that candidates reveal their tax returns. Now, this guy used to teach the Constitution. He was a president of a university. And apparently he doesn't understand that in order to do that, you'd have to amend the Constitution. All right, my friend, thank you for your call. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Here we have Washington Times, Christine Blasey Ford, and the links to George Soros. Well, what do you know? I'm sure we'll hear this all over CNN and MSNBC. Sure, it'll be in the Washington Post and the New York Times. Those reporters on Facebook, I'm sure they're going to be looking for information related to this. What a bunch of frauds. Look at what's going on with Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation proceedings for the Supreme Court, writes Cheryl Chumley. And the fingerprints of George Soros are all over it. First, there was a report from Daily Caller that found a new political advocacy group that vowed to put $5 million behind the effort to stop Kavanaugh's confirmation. And it has significant ties to the liberal financier Soros. Now, what are those ties? The group is called Demand Justice, established in 2018, gets its money from the 1630 Fund. And the 1630 Fund received roughly $2.2 million from the Open Society Policy Center, one of Soros's outlets between the years of 2012 and 2016. Look how they launder the money through these different groups. And Demand Justice's entire mission is to advance a progressive agenda through the courts. We talked about this the first hour, how they see the court. Our goal is to sensitize rank-and-file progressives to think of the courts as a venue for their activism and a way to advance the progressive agenda, says DJ's executive director, Brian Fallon. He said that to the New York Times. But that's not all. Deborah Katz, the attorney representing Kavanaugh's accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, is vice chairman of the Project on Government Oversight, an organization that has been directly funded by Soros's Open Society Foundation. Katz is also a hefty Democratic donor, giving thousands of dollars over the years to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, other leftist candidates, at Front Page Mag has reported. Combine that with reports of Kavanaugh's denial of even being at the party described by Ford, and what's shaping up as a curious, to say the least, twist to the nomination hearings. How do you like that, ladies and gentlemen? The money. George Soros trying to buy the Supreme Court. He already owns the Democrat Party. He already owns Media Matters. He already owns all these so-called progressive think tanks. But now he wants to buy the Supreme Court. Very, very diabolical and evil man. I'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. It was the New York Times in which Anita Hill had an op-ed on the 18th of September, yesterday. Very fast, and there it is. She's a professor now at Brandeis University. And she writes, there's no way to redo 1991. But there are ways to do better. Oh, I see. I see. So the Clarence Thomas is illegitimate. Clarence Thomas is guilty. Who said that? Well, she did, and the Democrats. Well, so what? That doesn't make it true. The facts underlying, she writes, Christine Blasey Ford's claim of being sexually assaulted by a young Brett Kavanaugh will continue to be revealed as confirmation proceedings unfold. No, maybe not. Yet it's impossible to miss the parallels between the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing of 2018 and the 1991 confirmation hearing for Justice Clarence Thomas in 1991. The Senate Judiciary Committee had an opportunity to demonstrate its appreciation for both the seriousness of sexual harassment claims and the need for public confidence in the character of a nominee to the Supreme Court. It failed on both counts. Actually, it didn't. She was grilled by Arlen Specter and others. Anita Hill. And a majority of the country did not believe her. Now, of course, they've been working over the decades with their propaganda. But Clarence Thomas wasn't found to have done anything. Period. As that same committee, on which sit some of the same members as nearly 3 decades ago, now moves forward with the Kavanaugh confirmation proceedings, the integrity of the court, the country's commitment to addressing sexual violence as a matter of public interest, and the lives of the 2 principal witnesses who will testify hang in the balance. Now, this is not about sexual harassment or sexual assault, because that hasn't been demonstrated yet in any conceivable way. Now, she's a professor, I assume, of law at Brandeis, but I don't know. Today, the public expects better from our government than we got in 1991. First of all, she has no idea what the public expects. When our representatives performed in ways that gave employers permission to mishandle workplace harassment complaints throughout the following decade. Notice how she and the left, they, make claim to the issue of defending against sexual harassment through the allegations of Anita Hill, which I found absolutely not credible, incredible, and the allegation of Ms. Ford. Now, if Ms. Ford comes forward with some actual, tangible, substantive evidence, which she doesn't appear to be doing in the least, then show it to us. And then you get, well, you don't understand. No, I understand plenty. You know, the left acts like none of us have lived lives, or none of us are living, or all of us grow up in a bubble or a test tube. Like none of our family members have gone through hell, or none of you have gone through hell. They act as if only they know people who have, or perhaps only they have. It's a lie. We all live lives too, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we have family members who live lives too, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But near the end, she writes, as Judge Kavanaugh stands to gain the lifetime privilege of serving on the country's highest court, he has the burden of persuasion, and that is only fair. Now think about that. She turns the entire notion of justice, our entire system, civil and criminal, on its head. The accused is guilty unless they prove otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a complete rejection of our heritage. A complete rejection of our heritage. We would never say that to a terrorist. We would never say that to a mass murder. We would never say, it's up to you to prove your innocence. You take that into a court of law and you're done. And you're done. So I dismiss her, as I did in 1991, as we had to fight like hell to get Clarence Thomas confirmed. I remember her. I know her, and I'm not buying the liberal tripe on her either. But Schumer's behind this whole thing, folks. That's why none of it is rational. It's all hack political activity. She doesn't want to be known. Then why write a letter? If you don't want your name out there and you want your why would you write a letter to your congresswoman? Then she passes the letter on to the United States Senator Feinstein. Why would you contact the Washington Post? See, these are all lies. I didn't want my name out there. I wanted my privacy. Really? So you contact a member of Congress and then you contact the Washington Post. That's the way to do it. Well, I had no other way to do this. Now the demand is for an FBI investigation. To do what? You don't know where it happened? You don't really know when it happened? You don't really know who was there, other than your allegation against the nominee? You don't know how you got home? In other words, the convenience of this kind of failure is there are no corroborating witnesses. Not one. Did you tell anyone? No, I didn't tell anyone. You tell any family? No, I didn't tell any friends? No. What did you tell your therapist? Well, look, I'll release the transcript. Well, Kavanaugh's name's out there. Yeah, well, that's who I meant. Well, what is this? You can't do that to another human being. She remembers nothing of her surroundings. Nothing. And the other fellow she says was there says it's a lie. Never happened. Kavanaugh says, look, I'm ready to come back. This never happened. So he has to defend his entire career. He has to defend his family, his wife and his little girls, his mother, his father. Now he's having to defend himself. Dr. Ford's not having to defend anything. And we don't know a damn thing about her. Just shows up on the scene, embraced by the Democrats, exploited by the Democrats. Gotta hold this up now. We need the FBI to get involved. Well, you hated the FBI when they're investigating Hillary Clinton. You hated the FBI when they were investigating her multiple violations of the Espionage Act, of course, until it got to Comey. You hated the FBI. Now we gotta have the FBI. Investigate what? They don't even have any jurisdiction. Doesn't matter. It's like the CIA. What's the point? There is no point other than obstruction, delay, and power. These are vile people. And the media, which are the political entrails of the left, they are vile people too. The president's been exactly right about them. So many of these outlets and so many of these individuals, they don't want to hear, are the enemy of the people because they're dishonest. They have no integrity. And we see more and more of it through their own actions, their own statements, their tweets. Nothing. They don't want to learn anything about Ford that might harm her in terms of the eyes of the American people. Just like they don't want to get into fusion GPS and the dozy. She's and her surrogates and her lawyers and the Democrats are their sources. Same with Hillary Clinton, the DNC, fusion GPS, and the dossier, as I keep saying, and I have said. They're not going to out their sources. They're not going to take the opposite side of their sources. They benefit from this. It's the golden age of journalism, says Jake Tapper. No, Jake, you guys really do suck. As I said before, it's actually the golden age of yellow journalism. They're laughing it up behind the scenes. They have no compassion for women or anybody else. But I want all you folks to think about something. Liberal, conservative, in between, Republican, Democrat, independent, whatever. Imagine if you were treated this way and you were innocent. That's rules in this country to make determinations. You cannot have people just going around accusing other people of stuff, particularly when it's 3.5 decades old. It just is inhumane. And if, as Anita Hill says, so buffoonish, that the burden is on the accused to demonstrate that the allegation isn't correct, then that's the end of the ballgame. Because it's an impossibility, particularly if you're innocent. She's a professor, and obviously a very poor one. This is what fascistic societies of all forms, this is what they do. They do exactly what the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee are doing. It is a cabal. A cabal. They're in a frenzy with taking this guy Kavanaugh out. I saw it with Robert Bork. I saw it with Clarence Thomas. I saw it with Miguel Estrada. I've seen it with others. They're doing exactly the same thing to our president. They don't care if he's committed crimes or not. They know he hasn't committed any. They know his family hasn't committed any crimes. They know he hasn't committed any impeachable offenses. Doesn't matter. They don't believe in the text of the Constitution anyway, do they? I read you Woodrow Wilson in the first hour. They want control. They want power. And any effort to push back, that is, to try and place actual constitutionalists on the Supreme Court, unacceptable. Or a president of the United States who shakes things up, who has damaged significantly the Obama so-called accomplishments, that cannot stand. Media have the same mindset. The media tonight, ladies and gentlemen, they're not working feverishly to find information on Dr. Ford. They're working feverishly to dig up dirt on Judge Kavanaugh. They're getting leaks and direction from the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee and their staffs and Chuck Schumer. They're working with the lawyers now, too, for Dr. Ford. In no way Do they have any intention of reporting news? An allegation without any specifics whatsoever, at least so far, that's good enough. It's like the op-ed by Anonymous. That's good enough. It's like no Russia collusion. Doesn't matter. That's good enough. But I want to ask each of you for a moment, put politics aside, put race aside, put religion aside, put your gender aside, and seriously, honestly, with integrity, ask yourself, what if I were in Kavanaugh's shoes? How the hell could I defend myself? How could I defend myself? The answer is you couldn't. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. No delay, no FBI investigation will fix or change any of it. None of it. Every single one of these Democrats who you see on TV already announced their opposition to Kavanaugh. They were not going to vote for him, period. They already revealed themselves. They believe they own the Supreme Court. They must own 5 to 6 seats, and they will not let constitutionalists get close to a majority. And if they don't have the votes, they will seek and destroy. Seek and destroy. With political character assassination. They're doing it to Kavanaugh. They're doing it to the President of the United States. And even more so, they're doing it to you. To all of you. Look at the names that they've called you over the last 18 to 24 months. Nazis, racists, deplorables. What was it that McCain wrote? Hobbits. The great John McCain. All kinds of names. Obama dismisses you. Now they attack white men, old white men. But the truth is they attack black men too, who don't fall in line behind their agenda. Ask Clarence Thomas. Ask Alan West. Ask a whole slew of African Americans who think for themselves. They do the same to women. You know, it's funny, Thursday, before I abruptly left, I brought up the Keith Ellison matter. Remember that, Mr. Producer? And it's gone viral. It's been on Fox. It's been on radio. What about Keith Ellison? What about Keith Ellison? Well, I was the first to ask the question. What about Keith Ellison? I even posted on my social sites. I believe it was Thursday. Maybe it was Wednesday. These are credible allegations. The woman came forward. The woman has used her name. The woman used Keith Ellison's name with her therapist. I believe it was in 2016 or 2017. She has actual medical records to show what he did to her. She told family members and other people what Keith Ellison was doing to her, and it wasn't 36 years ago. Keith Ellison's running for Attorney General of Minnesota. Isn't that an irony? You don't hear Gillibrand talking about an FBI investigation into him. You don't hear this idiot from Hawaii, who apparently hates all men, Mazie Hirono, talking about him, that the FBI needs to investigate him. You don't hear the DNC, Perez, that schmo. You don't hear him talking about it. You certainly don't hear the media talking about it. Well, why not? And this is a guy who was up close and personal with Farrakhan. And all the anti-Semitism and Jew-hating, which he's tried to rewrite, gets a pass. He was deputy chairman of the Democrat National Committee. Just as Robert Byrd, a Klansman, was the majority leader of the Democrats in the Senate for a period of time. Interesting. No FBI investigations there. And Ted Kennedy. As far as I know, and I'm no expert on this, he's the only senator whose outrageous conduct actually resulted in the death of a woman. And yet they have monuments all over the place to this guy. They love this guy. Nobody ever asked for an FBI investigation. In fact, the U.S. attorney there was involved in a cover-up. We don't need any lectures from Schumer or Gillibrand or Hirono about men or women or white men or black men or this, that, or the other. Stand your ground. I'll be right back. Now, there's another big chunk of news out there, but I needed to cover this Kavanaugh matter thoroughly, and we'll be doing it again tomorrow, no doubt. That is the president releasing information about the FBI, about the FISA warrant. People have said to the president over and over again, you say you want it released. Well, Mr. President, all you have to do is release it. Okay, he's ordered it released, still redacting certain aspects of it related to sources and so forth, but he wants it out. And here's Chuck Schumer on the floor yesterday. I want you to keep something in mind. If somebody from the FBI had leaked this to the left-wing media, they would have loved it. They would have said, freedom of the press. You know, like the Pentagon Papers or something. Yes, they leaked it. Like they give a damn about sources and practices and so. They don't care. Could care less. So if somebody had actually leaked it and committed a felony, like the felony they committed against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn and others by unmasking him, that would be fine. But when the president, the commander-in-chief, the head of the executive branch under Article 2 says, you know what? I want this stuff out. All of a sudden, the left, whoa, look at that. Cut 10, go.
It's just like the infamous memo prepared by Rep. Nunes and the fake wiretapping scandal. President Trump and his handful of water carriers
the
in the House.
fake wiretap scandal. Does Chuck Schumer, is he like use marijuana or something? I'm not attacking a person. I'm just wondering. I know the libs want to make it legal everywhere. Is he like a pothead or something? What's going on with this guy? Go ahead.
Are willing to go to any length to cherry-pick, distort, and invent materials to discredit the Mueller investigation, even when our national security, the safety of millions of Americans protected by the men and women in our intelligence agencies, is on the line.
No, it's not on the line, you idiot. Can't call you an idiot because you are an idiot. For decades, I've attacked this man. He would never come on my program, so what's the point of being nice? So millions and millions of Americans are in danger as a result of what Trump's doing. This guy's mental. Absolutely mental. Go ahead.
The latest disclosure by President Trump is a blatant abuse of power.
Why? Why? Go ahead.
Action of a dictator in a banana republic.
No, it's not. A dictator in a banana republic wouldn't release anything. Idiot. You really are an idiot. A dictator in a banana republic wouldn't release anything to the people. He'd keep it secret. You know, a dictator in a banana republic would do what you do, you schmo. Behind the scenes, trying to destroy somebody's reputation. That's what a dictator would do in a banana republic. And by the way, what countries are you calling banana republics? Countries of color? I mean, when the president talked about S-hole countries, oh my goodness. That little midget you had by the name of Dick Durbin, he was furious. Now you're calling these countries banana republics. Isn't that offensive? Particularly if they grow bananas. I'm serious. I think Schumer's a racist. Go ahead.
It's not politics as usual. It's not just Democrats and Republicans bandying things about. It's never really happened before.
Oh, well, it's happening now. Because you know what? Fusion GPS, that never happened before. The abuse of the FISA warrant system, that never happened before. The top levels of the FBI having to resign for various criminality and unethical reasons, that's never happened before. You schmo. Then there's Eric Swalwell on CNN today. I don't know why this guy's on TV all the time. He's utterly unattractive. Looks like he puts, coconut oil in his hair. He dresses like, well, whatever. Just another liberal dumb. Go ahead, cut 11, go.
This is quite lawless of the president to selectively...
It can't be lawless of the president, you idiot. He's the president. He can declassify whatever he wants. There's nothing lawless about it. Eric Swalwell. Go ahead, Eric. Continue. Go ahead.
You know, he's only putting forward to the American people what he believes helps him, completely and recklessly risking sources and methods who could be put at risk and have their lives at risk. So, you know, transparency is great. But
first of all, that's not true. It's going through the usual process. But he doesn't care. He's a moron. Go ahead.
Want to put out the full story or all the evidence that exists against him. He just wants to put out what he thinks helps him, and that is a very destructive way to act as a person being investigated himself, and to order your own intelligence communities to do so.
You're a rambling buffoon, only to be followed by the biggest of the rambling buffoons, John Brennan, who of course voted for a Stalinist for president. So we all want to listen to this mental case. Cut 12, go.
Well, I think Christopher Wray, Director of FBI, and Dan Coates, Director of National Intelligence, as well as Rod Rosenstein, who is overseeing this investigation, should push back against any directive that is going to have negative impact on our capabilities, as well as the investigation. So I think they should continue to push. If Mr. Trump and the White House does not relent, well, then I think they have some decisions to make, whether or not they're going to just not follow that direction and be fired, or to resign. But if they...
Is he a Russian agent, you think? I mean, he points fingers at you. Think he's a Russian agent? Is he not really carrying Russia's water while pretending not to? Constantly trashing this president, undermining this president, now encouraging the head of the FBI, the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, and others to defy the president. I mean, I thought these guys supported transparency. Apparently not. But I'm starting to... Do you think this guy is a stooge? You think he's a dupe? You think he's a spy for the Russians? No, probably not. But does he not act like it? I mean, when you want to hear a true lowlife trashing the president, and you're CNN or MSNBC, you bring this guy on, John Brennan. He'll do your dirty work for you. He has no problem. Or you bring this clown Swalwell on. Absolute moron. Go ahead.
This is going to have serious impact on our national security, law enforcement, and judicial process.
I can't wait to see what's released for two reasons. Number one, to see what's released with respect to what was done to this country in the last election, but also to see if Eric Swalwell, of the famous Swalwell High Wire Act, John Brennan of the Brennan Reds, and Chucky Schmucky Schumer. Let's see, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if millions of people lose their lives, cease to be protected. Let's see if all these sources are wiped out. Now we're going to watch. Let's see if this is all worth resigning over, the agencies and departments. It won't matter, because Schumer will still be there as the clown that he is, and Swalwell will still be the dancing elephant on cable TV, and John Brennan will still be the drunken old sailor on cable TV. I mean, they'll still all be there. But let's see if what they predict actually occurs, okay? Of the really, truly magnificent journalistic standards on CNN and MSNBC. I'll be right back. You know, over the weekend, I post a lot of things during the course of the day. If you can check them out on my social sites, Mark Levin Show Facebook, Mark Levin Show Twitter. And over many, many years, you know, I've posted thousands and thousands of items and links, right, Mr. Producer? All times of day and night. Mr. Producer knows it. Poor guy has to do it. Help me do it. I write them, send them to him, and he posts them. And every now and then I know he thinks, Mr. Producer, why the hell doesn't he post them himself? All he has to do is learn how to do it. I'll tell you why I do it this way. I do it this way to make sure it's done right, frankly. So there's another set of eyes. But they're all my posts, all of them. Just like all the prep I do for the show. I do it. The audio Mr. Producer pulls that together, and I also point out a number of audio items, too. We're a good team. So, I posted a link to a story on Drudge about this Professor Ford and the student reviews, which were highly negative. And then we're told by our friend over Jennifer, Jen at CR, Conservative Review, lets Rich, my producer, know that actually that's a different professor. I said, okay, well, just take it down. Every idiot website and some idiot newspapers found that to be a profound event and have reported it. Reported what? That I'm so out to get Dr. Ford that I'm willing to even post falsehoods. Well, I don't intentionally post anything that's false. I give my opinion, but I thought that was important. Turns out it was wrong, and we removed it. But you didn't apologize. Well, what's to apologize for? Well, it wasn't correct, and we removed it. Meanwhile, I have to sit here day in and day out and listen to these idiots on these websites, read them, or these newspapers or these broadcasts lying through their teeth about 1,000 different things. 1,000 different things. Mouthpieces for the left. The Business Insider. Go ahead and look who runs the Business Insider. Look who the primary owner is. Look at his background. The Business Insider. They're very upset. Our folks at Reason, a site that I like, run by libertarians, this got them all worked up. They were very excited about this. It's stupid. And, of course, every left-wing kook operation. Think Progress and so forth. But they're all pretty similar, aren't they? So that's my great offense, Mr. Producer. What did I tell you when you told me that we believe it's not accurate? Did I not write back? Well, then kill it. Take it down. Well, look, he took it down before anyone would notice. No, I took it down because it was wrong. I mean, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So big deal. Big deal. Unbelievable. Go out there, check it out. You'll see. Oh, look at this. The right winger is out to get... I'm not out to get the woman. I don't know anything about her. I'm not going to celebrate her. I'm not going to embrace her. I have serious questions about this whole damn thing. Let's see. Let us go to Scott, Dallas, Texas, Sirius Satellite. How are you?
Hey, Mark. Great to talk to you tonight. I've been listening to you for almost 15 years now.
Wow.
You're a great patriot.
Thank you.
I'm 36 years old. I was born in 1982, and unlike the delegations, I'm actually 36 years old rather than manifested in the last 3 months. So I just want to throw that out there. Your Kavanaugh analysis was spot on. I don't have anything to add to it, but I'd like to talk about something bigger, which is, I know why everyone out there in the audience must feel like you're going crazy. And some quick background here. I did my undergraduate work at MIT. I'm an engineer by trade, but I minored in philosophy. And anyone who knows MIT philosophy, it's dominated by the Noam Chomskys of the world and his acolytes.
The crazies, yes.
The crazies. And I spent good 3.5-ish years of my life debating these wackos. And what they do fundamentally, and this is something I want everyone to internalize, is they reason irrationally. And this is what makes us feel like we are going crazy. It's a fundamental violation of who and what we are as human beings. Now, whether you're a God-fearing person, and you know that the second greatest gift God ever bestowed upon humankind after our lives is our mental capacity and the free will to exercise it, or if you are a agnostic or an atheist. The beauty of deductive reasoning and logic applied to facts to draw conclusions is that we internalize this stuff. We know what is true, and anyone out there...
Sorry, I got 30 seconds.
Anyone who is still actually thinking objectively knows that these allegations are completely ridiculous and have no foundation.
All right, sir. Thank you for your call very, very much, and I appreciate your loyal listenership too. Problem with the accusations are they're not based on anything. There's absolutely no facts behind them, and that is a problem. Hopefully, people will come to their senses. But if they have facts, let's hear them, folks. It's good to be back. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, Border Patrol, ICE, all you heroes out there. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. God bless.